All right, so today I went back to writing a traditional script for my channel because I'm not really enjoying making the videos where I read what the AI generates, but I do like how clean it is because sometimes I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, which is probably one of the reasons why my channel got demonetized because they said I was reusing content. You guys tell me if that's true. I don't think so. I think I talked about the same things, just like turning on the news where they talk about the economy, politics, and everything that we see every day. And my channel's the same way. When people would ask me to change my content, I'd be like, why? You're coming here to watch dystopian entertainment, and that's why you're here. So, without further ado, let me read the AI generated monologue that it made for what I wrote. It seems like everywhere you turn, people are saying no one wants to work anymore, but the truth is, one job isn't enough anymore. Money is a constant conversation because in reality, one paycheck barely covers the rent. This is a conversation I've had with my new employee since he started. Is that he was intense on knowing exactly how much he was going to make because he can't survive on one job, but he's just like everyone else that I've talked to. No one wants to work a second or third or fourth or fifth job. Everyone thinks that one job at the bottom is supposed to provide you with sufficient money in order to survive. And that's it. Everyone is in survival mode. Unless you're pulling down $150,000 a year plus, and I'm saying plus here, you're not going to live comfortably. You're not going to be able to date. You're not going to be able to go out on weekends. You're not going on vacations. And you're certainly not going to be eating the best food. So, what are our options here? Moving out of state. I've heard you guys tell me this for 10 years is that you got to get out of Arizona. Some are even considering moving out of state just to find a place where they can make ends meet. For some, it's the most money that they've ever made, but it's still not enough. In fact, moving out of state with closer to family and friends that you can share your bills with, right? If you know people out there that are set up and are just looking for someone who can just show up and rent a room, or they know where you can get a better job, that's where you need to be moving to. I don't have such a place. I have no friends, I have no family, and I have no future. So, my going somewhere else would just mean that I would have to learn more. How do I put this? More about the world that I don't care about. Because my world only exists in the 1 mile that I drive to work and the 1 mile I drive back home from work. That's it. That's all I know about the world. I have never been on an airplane. I have never been on a vacation. And I don't interact with many people. In fact, I almost interact with no one. I was really upset today because the whole summer passed and I never really left my apartment to go do anything. And that's happened to me for 20 years, in which you can't take the time off work, you don't have any savings, and that's just what happens. You get angry at the fact that everything you do is about sitting at home, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for work to start. That's the life of the proletariat. The stay vacation is what we do as poor people. There's no way out of it. It's unfortunate, but that's what we have to lie to ourselves to continue living this way every single day. And I don't know a person who doesn't lie to themselves, who tells themselves that this is only temporary, but it's not. So, living at home. Many must live at home unable to afford a place of their own. Parental support. They keep asking their parents for money even after they're over 30. I mean, I know guys who still ask their parents for money even in their 40s. And the quality of life is extremely low, far from what anyone imagined for themselves. That's the thing that really gets to me sometimes, is the overall quality of life, which is reflected in your housing, your food, and your relationships. There are no relationships. In fact, that's my next talking point. The impact on relationships. There's also another harsh reality. There are no women. Not because they don't exist, but because when you're living in this level of poverty, you're simply not dateable. Women aren't interested in this. Isn't just about individual circumstances. It's a representation of the average working class man today. Why do you think men don't want to sacrifice? Why do you think men aren't out there trying to work that second and third job? Because there's no reason to torture yourself just to come home to beat the meat. It's just not worth it. You get rid of the urge and boom, you're done. If you have more urge, Susie Rottencrotch is always behind the Taco Bell and always open. There's a neon sign between her cheeks that says, "We'll work for food." That's just the way that life is. There are people that have to get by that way because they don't have any special skills. They don't know what else to do. And it's unfortunate, but men are always going to pay. As one person, while riding in my car a few weeks ago, said, the world's about one thing: money and booty. That's it. All right, moving on to our next talking point. The bigger picture. If people are saying no one wants to work anymore, and if one job isn't enough, how can you expect people to work two, three, or four jobs? Certain career choices are no longer practical. Even fields like accounting, once seen as stable and lucrative, are hitting the skids. So there are a lot more college majors out there that are just not going to exist in 10 years. And I imagine that the liberal arts college is on the chopping block because it doesn't teach any life skills, it doesn't teach any financial skills, it doesn't teach you anything about having to support yourself for the rest of your life. It just offers you something that you enjoy. And that's the thing that we go to college for. We go to college because we want to enjoy the type of work that we're going to do for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, no one told us that those jobs don't really exist. So we keep going towards the liberal arts college like a moth into the flame because we don't like the jobs that pay money. In fact, we absolutely despise them because they're hard, they're obnoxious, and they're not fun. Working in accounting, HR, working in a STEM degree, science, math, engineering, or any one of those, technology. Like, I didn't want to work in the technology field. I spent my whole life running away from the technology field because I knew what was there. Nerds, hardcore nerds, people who don't know what naked women look like, men that are still living at home in their 30s and 40s because no one will put up with their weird quirks. My current employee is a hardcore nerd, like to the nth degree, and I'm finding it very difficult to put up with these nerdy mannerisms. Like I can tell he's got OCD really bad. Like really, really bad. If something doesn't work exactly the way that it's supposed to, I can see the frustration. He comes over and stands by me, and even if I'm on the phone or I'm working on something else, he'll stand there until the thing that he needs is corrected so he can move forward in a very linear way. If that uh, if that question is lingering out here in the ether, he will not move forward, and that's something that I've noticed from day one. If things aren't laid out the way that he wants, he just will not function. And that's hard to do when you have a job where you have no idea what may happen from minute to minute. 1 second, I'm working on this problem. The next second, we have a security breach. The next second, we have a person who needs a brand new printer and supplies ordered. The next minute, God only knows, I'm in the ceiling like I was yesterday, looking at technology hanging up there. It's just, this is a job that requires adaptability. And one trait that I know that keeps people down is adaptability in the workplace. Many people, especially Gen Z, are coming into the workplace thinking they're going to do one job. As a person that's worked in technology my whole life, I assure you, you will not be working the job that you applied to. That's just not the way that things are done. And luckily for some of us older people, we've had to work in so many different areas. That's why that work experience requirement is there. They want you to have had work experience in 20 different things So you don't have to stop there, everything that you're doing, and ask a question that you should be able to figure out yourself as a grown person. But no, that's just the way that things are. And it's unfortunate because I don't like the way that things are. I don't like having to solve so many different problems from logistics to server to technical. That's my whole day. I have to be able to move in whatever direction my job takes me, and there's no one for me to ask. The senior manager works in another state, and the big boss isn't exactly on millennials teams likable people anymore. So I've decided to steer clear. I'm my own boss right now, and I don't mind. I've taken this route towards my job now for about the last 6 weeks, and you know what? It's better for me not to have to deal with management. If management needs me for any reason, like today, I had to talk to the executives, I had to talk to leadership in HR, I had to talk to the leadership in one of the other schools. They call me. If you need something, you call me. I don't call you. So that's just the way that jobs function is as you progress in the job, more and more responsibility falls heavily on your shoulders and more people are looking in your direction to be able to carry the group because that's what you do in a situation where you're put into a bad spot. Let's just put it that way. A long time ago, my boss used to say to me, "You're the best problem solver I have." And that's because I have to be. I can't stop and ask Google how to do my job. I can't stop and ask a question of someone who I've never met before and they need something. They need an answer right now. And you just have to kind of put your head down and shrug your shoulders and think, you know what, how am I going to answer this? Because there's no one else to help me. But I was off on a rant as usual, but let's get back into the script here. So, high education, low pay. You spend years getting educated, but the pay doesn't match the investment. That's what I'll say about every single one of my liberal arts degrees. When you have as many degrees as I have, and you spend all this money becoming educated in things that don't matter, not related to my job in any conceivable way, I'm completely self taught when it comes to technology. No one's going to invest in you but yourself. In fact, that's just the way that things are. They happen in the workplace, is that you may think that you're going to go out and do something for yourself in order to benefit directly from it, but the reality is completely different. You have to be able to teach yourself. All the social media managers that I have met throughout my life, they're all liberal arts majors that had to re-educate, upskill themselves because no one was going to pay them for their liberal arts education. There's just nothing there. The only thing that I have that I got from this all this education is my English literature classes taught me how to write. They taught me how to analyze. They taught me how to compare and contrast. That's what I got from my education. And I've had to take what little I got from my education and infuse it into my commentator job. This is a job for me, people. This isn't, I don't come out here just to entertain. This somehow became my part time job. This is my second job that I have to do every day. That's why when I got demonetized, I freaked out because it was my second job. When you're generating $1,000 by talking on the internet every month, that's a job. And there's no way around that. All right, so this is a thing that came up today with my employee. Experience requirements. Certifications that promise a better future require 2 years of hands-on experience. Experience that's hard to get when you're struggling, when you're juggling multiple jobs just to survive. I put the word struggling when I saw the word survive into this particular sentence. But that's the reality. And a conversation I had to have today is that, a lot of people have these big dreams that require a certain kind of education. But getting there, when a certification requires 2 years of experience before you're allowed to go and take the exam for that certification, what you're doing is telling most people who want that certification that you'll never get it because they will not let you get the the experience you need in order to get that certification without having the certification first. If that's not asinine as hell, then I don't know what is. Because I think that's what I actually put into toxic positivity, because the AI generated toxic positivity today, and this is what it wrote. This idea that no one wants to work anymore is a form of toxic positivity. It's ignoring the reality that for many, working more than one job isn't a choice. It's a necessity. The system is failing them, and we need to acknowledge that rather than perpetuating the myth that the problem is a lack of will to work. Coming back to the certification thing, this is one of the potential titles that the AI said, is that I should spend a lot more time talking about the work experience requirements when trying to get yourself out of poverty, because they're bound to one another. For me, all of my technology experience comes from the jobs that I had while going to college. I've always worked in technology while I was doing my liberal arts degrees, because somehow a little part of me knew that I wasn't getting anything out of my college education. And I thought, you know what? If I can keep these technology jobs throughout my entire academic career, it might lead to something. And believing that I needed to have a backup plan for half of my life because the liberal arts college wasn't going anywhere has saved me from being on the street right now. And that's something that a lot of young people need to take into consideration. Even if you're not going to get an internship in your own field while you're going to college, learn to do something useful. You don't have to go to a trade school, but learn something useful, because if you don't, you're going to end up coming out of school believing that certifications are going to get you into that $100,000 a year job. But the reality is that even if you got a certain network security and the what used to be the A plus certification. I'm not sure what it is. I've interviewed people with A plus certifications, network and security certifications, and they don't know anything because no one's ever let them near an actual production computer because they don't have experience. And it's sad because they have a lot of knowledge, is just not experience. And knowledge and experience are not replaceable for one another, they're not interchangeable. And that's why when they put that requirement onto the job description, it keeps out the vast majority of people that shouldn't be working in that job. But with that said, I think this format's a little different. I think I'm going to I think I'm going to go back and forth between my old format where I just made my talking points and I didn't read out loud what the AI wrote, because I like that flow of that, because I don't see myself as a script reader. I need an outline, and then I can just make up what I want to say by myself, because the what I've noticed about the way that artificial intelligence writes things is that it's very, I don't know. It lacks heart. It's very repetitive. It's not very creative. AI is definitely not creative in any capacity. In fact, it's very uncreative. It takes your bare minimum talking points and turns it into a script that anyone can read. Not everyone can do what I do, and that's why this channel became so popular, is that people wanted to come here to not get AI generated material, because we are coming upon a world in which most of the information that we ingest is going to be filtered somehow through an artificial intelligence program. It's just the way it works. You know why? Because it's cheaper. Just like our food is cheaper. Just like the quality of our lives is cheaper. Just like the quality of our housing, it's cheaper. And that's the way of the world. We're not going to get around it just because we don't like it. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys next time.